3D design for 3D printing, tutorial number 8. And today we cover tools and techniques as requested by you. This video is part of a series on learning 3D design to be able to create custom 3D printed parts using a free Onshape account. I'll link the entire playlist below so you can see the previous episodes, including how to make an account and set up your units. In this video, we tie up some loose ends by covering skills and techniques that have been requested by you in the comments. Let's get started with some organization. In Onshape, you can come to Create and then New Document. But for me, I'll be adding to this TT Tutorials document, which is linked in the video description. I'm going to come down to the plus, click it, and add a new Part Studio, which I'll right click and rename the tab. Before we create anything, let's talk about organization, because as we can see, there's quite a few tabs along the bottom now, and it's becoming harder to navigate. We can use the scroll wheel to pan this from side to side, but a clearer method is to come down to the very bottom left, click on the tab manager, and then we'll see a list with thumbnail for each of our tabs in this document. If you'd like to organize things further, you can come down to the plus and create a new folder. We can then right click to rename this folder, and then place items in the folder by simply dragging them to it. We can open and close the folder with the arrow to the left, and if we want to remove something from a folder, we simply drag it out and it'll once again be on its own. Back in our document list, we can also create folders to help organize our parts. For instance, I'll create a folder called 3D printers, and then I can scroll down looking for items I've designed to go on 3D printers, right click, come to move to, and then select my folder and click move here. We can also hold down Control and then click additional folders to select more than one at a time, and then we right click, move selected to, and click our folder once more. We come inside our folder and all of our documents are organized in one place. If you like, you can also right click and make a label. We give it a name on the right hand side. All of the existing labels are listed on the left, and when you click one, it will filter all of your designs to only show those with this label. Finally, Onshape has a search button up the top, so if you can't find a specific document, you can simply search for a keyword and you'll be returned the results. So we've covered how to sketch and then extrude in detail, and we had an entire episode on lofting, but there's actually two other ways that we can create 3D geometry. The first of those is the Revolve tool. Here I've drawn a random shape, I don't know what it is either, and when I click on it, I'm prompted to give a revolve axis. This is a straight line that this shape will be turned around just like on a lathe. As soon as I click my line, I get a preview of how my 2D profile will be revolved around to form the shape. And if I change my revolve axis, the revolved shape will update accordingly. This is a powerful tool for designing items that would be made on a lathe. By default, you will revolve the whole way around, but if you want, you can only do a partial revolve, inputting the degrees of rotation that you want the shape to make. And here we have a simple cube just to illustrate that as well as creating new geometry, any of these techniques can also be used to remove geometry. Here I'll change from add to remove, and now my revolve will be a revolved cut out of the side of the cube. An option that's rarely needed but is sometimes valuable is intersect, and that will only make geometry where the two shapes overlap. Another tool that's seldom needed but can be very powerful is the sweep tool. A sweep requires a 2D profile and a line that intersects with it. I'm going to click on my 2D shape, and then I'm prompted to input a sweep path, and I can click these lines in succession, and as you see, my shape will be extruded, but it will follow the curve of this guideline. The guideline can go across multiple sketches too. Here I have a first sketch to lift it up vertically, and then I have a second sketch to make it turn sideways, and as long as the lines are joined, this can be as complicated as you like. Now let's look at some more advanced chamfers and fillets. We'll come up to our fillet tool and select one of these lines. By default, because tangent propagation is ticked, it continues our fillet along any continuous edges of the object. Therefore, if we untick this, we can restrict our fillet to only one segment. I'm going to add an additional line and tick probably the most powerful option, which is the variable fillet. I can now click on a series of vertices along where I want the fillet to be, and this will give me the option to vary the radius throughout the fillet. So here I ask it to go from 5 to 20 to 5, and we can see it starts small, gets bigger for the middle, and transitions back to small again for the end. The need for this might not come up very often, but it's handy to know that it's there. Chamfers also have some more advanced options. By default, when we click an edge, the chamfer is applied equally to both sides, but we can change this option to 2 distances, make them quite different, and this will allow us to make a much shallower, or if we toggle it, much steeper chamfer. If we're after a specific angle, we can change the mode to distance and angle, and put in exactly what we're after. Let's continue covering the requests with a brief look at something that came up quite often. Some people requested some tips on creating more organic shapes, and in Onshape you can actually build up solid bodies one side at a time. So I've set up a series of sketches that would enclose a more organic shape. To build up our solid body, we need to use the fill tool, and if you can't see it, hit the drop down as offset surface might be showing instead. Now we're going to build up our sides one at a time, and I'll start with the simple flat ones by clicking on the exterior perimeters. That will make a single surface. We'll repeat again for the back side of the shape. Use the fill tool again once more to make the floor, and then our most important one, the final surface, to seal this up. Again, we click on sketch elements, building up a boundary that will form the continuous perimeter of our new surface. Onshape will then do its best approximation of filling in between all of those surfaces. And if we want more control, we can tick guides and then select another continuous guideline as well. This will take a few seconds to compute, and if you can't see the preview, it's most likely going to give an error, and I'd recommend changing from precise to sampled mode. As soon as we finish the feature, all of our surfaces will be merged into one solid part. This is a series intended for 3D printing, but I did have a question about how to export for laser cutting. While it's fully possible to generate drawings in Onshape and then use these faces to make DXFs, the vast majority of users won't need to do this. Instead, all they need to do if they're laser cutting is to right click on any surface and then export as DXF or DWG. Give your file a name, select your format, and then click export, and your file will download ready for processing. Recently I made a video where I designed a partially 3D printed custom power bank, and for some of the parts I applied this surface which not only hid the layer lines but I think looked pretty good too. Fortunately, this effect is quite easy to achieve in Onshape. And here I have a surface that I'm going to cut into, and on top of that I've drawn a simple sketch in the shape of an X, and you'll notice that it extends beyond the edges of the surface. The first thing to do is a single extruded cut into our surface using the X. I'll select its sketch, set my extrude to remove, tick the draft and set it to 45 degrees. It's drafting the wrong way, so I'll reverse that, hit the tick, and you can see we've got a single X cutout that we're now going to use a pattern to extend along the entire surface. We'll come up to the top toolbar and click on linear pattern, but we're not making copies of an entire part. Instead, we need to change this to feature pattern. We'll then select our feature on the left hand side, which happens to be our extruded cut of the X. For the direction, we'll click on a horizontal straight line, and for this pattern we want it centered, which means that it will extend either side of where we started. I'm going to increase the distance just a little bit and increase the amount of copies until I can see the pattern goes the whole way to the edge. If we zoom in, we can see that we've covered each corner. However, the preview is showing red, which means it will provide an error, but the simple fix for this is to tick apply per instance. That will change the way that the parts intersect, and we can hit the tick and thus complete our textured surface. This type of surface prints a lot better printing up on its side like this, rather than flat on the bed like this. And this example is quite simple, but the sketch that you draw and then extrude and pattern could be a lot more complicated and create a much more dynamic texture. Another question I had was focused on how to avoid needing support material, and this shape here, which I've quickly drawn up, doesn't have any particular direction that it will print from without using support. So how can we modify it? The first thing to consider is whether we actually need this overhang on the underside. Perhaps if this part slides into another and has this bulbous section as a stopper, it would still function exactly the same if we were to apply a chamfer around the outside. When printed in the orientation as shown, compared to an unsupported overhang, this transition using the chamfer will be entirely printable for the majority of 3D printers. But then that leaves us with the problem of the hole in the middle, where we have a larger hole to provide clearance for a bolt. Fortunately, this one is quite easy to fix by adding some temporary material. I'm going to draw a sketch and then add a circle that matches the outer diameter and then extrude that back up towards the top with a thickness of around 0.4, which is typically 2 layers of a normal 3D print. Assuming we print with the orientation shown, when it gets to the underside, it can bridge the whole way across, and the larger hole is still preserved on the other side. So when the print is done, we simply run a drill bit through this false floor, and we'll be able to have our hole without needing any support on the inside. Sometimes this just won't be enough, and in those cases I like to split a part into 2. This was covered in detail in an earlier tutorial linked below in the description. Hopefully the contents of this video fill in some gaps, and I know I didn't design an actual object for this, but I couldn't think of anything that would require all of these techniques. A few people have suggested I make a longer form video where I design from scratch something more complicated, showing all of the problem solving and the little details along the way, and I am planning that for the future as I have a good project in mind. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy designing custom parts for 3D printing. G'day, it's Michael again. If you like the video, then please click like. If you want to see more content like this in future, click subscribe and make sure you click on the bell to receive every notification. If you really want to support the channel and see exclusive content, become a patron. Visit my Patreon page. See you next time.